Hi, I used to think of myself as level headed, someone who didn't need to track his wife's every move or worry about hidden agendas. I believe trust was the cornerstone of a good marriage. So I gave Samantha, my wife, plenty of space. After all, who wants to be the overbearing, suspicious husband, right? Samantha and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. She worked in a dynamic marketing firm where there were always new networking events, business trips, or late night gatherings. She was popular and charismatic, people gravitated to her. I was never jealous. In fact, I admired her social confidence. That she came home at 2 a.m. from a work event, I simply believed her when she said it ran long. Our love was supposed to stand on mutual respect and honesty, so I never pried. But life has a way of exposing the cracks you ignore. A shift in her behavior. Over time, I noticed a shift. Small signs that Samantha was drifting into a different orbit. The first clue was her sudden passion for night outings. She started mentioning a group of new coworkers, how they'd often went to bars for team bonding or casual brainstorming over drinks. The old Samantha was a homebody who disliked noisy clubs and bars. Yet now, she went frequently, sometimes without inviting me. She always insisted I would be bored, that it was strictly a work scene. One evening, as we made dinner in our cozy kitchen, she dropped a name I hadn't heard in a long time, Jake. She spoke about him in passing. Jake just organized this product launch meeting. He's so good at pulling big ideas together. I glanced up from stirring the pasta sauce. Jake from your old circle of friends? She gave an odd little laugh. Not exactly a friend, my ex-husband. You remember I told you about him before we met. I froze, wooden spoon in hand. Jake, your ex-husband is working with you. How? He runs a creative agency, and my firm hired them to handle a campaign, she said, shrugging. It's all professional. Don't worry, Ethan. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I'm not worried. I lied, just surprised. She gave me a quick, dismissive smile. No need to stress over it. We're just colleagues now. It's been so many years since our marriage ended. It's purely work. That was that. I told myself not to overreact. Samantha was an adult, and so was I. People stay in touch with exes sometimes. It's no big deal, I tried to reason. But a pit formed in my stomach, one I couldn't quite ignore. Over the next few months, Jake became a recurring figure in Samantha's anecdotes. She'd say things like, Jake's team is handling the new branding concept. He's got such creative instincts. Or, Jake texted me about scheduling an after-hours brainstorming session. At first I nodded, trying to appear unbothered. Inside, though, each mention of Jake lit a fuse of unease. My instincts whispered that she didn't just admire his professional skill. There was something else there. But I kept quiet, hoping I was imagining it. One night, as we lounged on the couch watching TV, Samantha giggled at a text on her phone. I glanced over. Who's that? She angled the screen away. It's Jake being silly, she said with a slight roll of her eyes. We bounce ideas off each other, that's all. I paused the show, turning to face her. You two talk a lot outside of office hours. Her lips formed a half smile, half scoff. Ethan, it's just chat. Relax. So I did, at least outwardly, but my mind whirled. If nothing else, a line was forming. How close is too close for your spouse to be with an ex-husband? A clash over a weekend trip. The tension peaked a week later when Samantha casually announced she'd be spending a weekend at a lake house. Jake's invited me and some team members to his lake house. It's partly a brainstorming retreat, partly a mini vacation, she said, setting down a glass of iced tea on the table. I blinked. Wait, you're going to your ex-husband's lake house for the weekend? Are you sure that's appropriate? She shrugged. It's not just me and him, Ethan. Others will be there too. It's part of my job. I had had a break in months, and apparently everyone's excited to go. I let out a slow breath, controlling the spike of anger that threatened to surface. You could skip it. It's not mandatory, right? I mean, you can find a less suspicious setting to do your so-called brainstorming. Did you think about how it looks? She set her jaw, eyes flashing. Looks? Don't tell me you're worried about appearances. I'm a grown woman and I can manage my professional life. It's just a weekend trip, Ethan. I exhaled, frustration deepening. This is crossing a boundary. I don't mind you working with your ex, but going to his personal retreat house, spending nights, that's too far. She gave a dismissive wave. Don't be so controlling, Ethan. You're acting like I've done something wrong already. If you can't trust me to keep it professional, that's on you, not me. I locked eyes with her. Then here's the line. If you walk out that door to go to this trip, don't bother coming back. There was a brittle silence. She stared at me like she was deciding if I was serious. You're overreacting, she finally said, a sneer creeping into her tone. This is borderline pathetic, Ethan. Aren't you actually giving me an ultimatum? Yes, I said simply. She shook her head as if exasperated with a child. Fine. I'm going. I need the break. If you're petty enough to blow up our marriage over it, that's your choice. She leaves and I take action. On Friday morning, as she prepared to depart, the tension in our home was suffocating. She hummed lightly while packing, occasionally shooting me side glances to see if I'd cave. If I'd said, go ahead, I don't mind. But I gave no such permission. Instead, I sat quietly at the kitchen table, flipping through my phone, outwardly composed. Inwardly, I was a storm of heartbreak and anger. Finally, she dragged her suitcase to the front door. I followed, opening it wide. She paused, looking uncertain. You're really going to do this? I nodded. Yes, you can't say I didn't warn you. She let out a short, bitter laugh, then bent down to pick up the handle of her suitcase. She stepped out onto the porch. You're the one throwing it all away, Ethan. Remember that. She gave me a quick, hollow kiss on the cheek and walked to the waiting Uber. The car pulled away, and that was that. The moment she left, a cold clarity overtook me. I called a locksmith friend, Carter, to come over. Within hours, I had new locks installed. While Carter worked, I began gathering her belongings, clothes, personal items, things that were undeniably hers, and packing them neatly in boxes. I wasn't yelling or raging, just calm efficiency. I even labeled the boxes for easy storing. Then I drove them to her sister's place. Zoe, her sister, looked shocked as I hauled everything in. She started to protest or ask questions, but I cut her off with a brief thanks and left. Finally, I phoned my lawyer. I want to file for divorce, I stated, my voice steady. The heartbreak felt like a dull ache behind my ribs, but I was resolute. I'd drawn my line, and Samantha had crossed it. She was supposed to come back Sunday evening, but on Saturday afternoon, I got an alert on my phone. The porch camera showed her standing there with her suitcase. I was in the middle of a meeting at the office, but I quickly excused myself to watch the live feed. Samantha tried the doorknob once, twice, thrice, confusion then frustration contorting her features. She pulled out her phone, presumably to call me. My phone lit up with an incoming call from her. I answered. Ethan, the door won't open, she said in a taut voice. Why does the lock? I changed the locks, I replied, forcing calm into my tone. You don't live here anymore. Remember what I said. She gave a half-hysterical laugh. Are you insane? This is my house, too. You can't just lock me out. I can, and I did. Your belongings are at Zoe's. Look there for them. As for the house, I'll be in touch about the legal details. She let out a shaky breath. You can't be serious. Let me in, and we'll talk. We'll figure it out. We have nothing to figure out, I said firmly. You made your choice the moment you left. I told you if you go to that lake house with your ex, we're done. So we're done. She tried to protest more, but I ended the call. She tried calling back multiple times, testing me about ruining everything over a minor argument. I ignored them. On the porch camera feed, I saw her slump down on the steps, phone in her hand. She looked lost, as though she realized for the first time that I was serious. Eventually, she left. Her confession at midnight. That night, exhausted from the day, I tried to sleep but couldn't. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a voice message from an unknown number. Possibly hers. Maybe she borrowed a friend's phone. Against my better judgment, I listened. Her voice, worn with tears, streamed through the speaker. Ethan, please, I'm a mess right now. I need you to understand. Something happened at that lake house. Jake got me alone. We talked, we drank. It was so late. I stayed up with him after everyone else went to bed. He recorded me us. I didn't realize. Now he says if I don't do what he wants, he'll send it to you or post it. He's blackmailing me. I never meant for it to happen. I see now that you were right all along. Please, Ethan, I'm begging you, help me. I don't want to lose everything. I'm so sorry. Please come outside. I'm at the porch. My heart clenched. So she'd actually done it, given in to her ex-husband, let him record something intimate, and now was paying the price. My first reaction was a wave of pity, remembering how I once loved her. But then anger flared. She had defied me, broken my trust, and only now, when her ex turned on her, did she claim regret. I typed a single message. You made your choice. Now live with it. Then I blocked that number too. Enough was enough. Forward momentum. On Monday, I returned to my routine, wore a crisp shirt, drank my morning coffee, and refused to let heartbreak destroy my productivity. My lawyer emailed me the initial draft of the divorce papers, and I quickly signed them. Within a day, the paperwork was filed, and we prepared for a potential fight over assets. But to my surprise, when my lawyer served her, she simply signed. Perhaps she recognized there was no point in fighting. Perhaps she was too consumed by her own fallout with Jake. I heard bits of gossip. Apparently, Jake ghosted her, disappearing when she threatened to talk to the police about the video. She found out he was a manipulator, that he was only using her for a twisted sense of control. Now, she was left with no home, no husband, and an ex who vanished. Meanwhile, I was finalizing the divorce calmly, a sense of relief replacing the initial sting of betrayal. She tried to reach me once more, emailing from a new address. Ethan, I understand I ruined everything. Let me at least explain fully. I love you. Let me fix it. I promptly deleted it. I no longer needed closure. My boundary was set. She had stepped out, and I was done. Life after divorce. The divorce concluded more quickly than expected. No lengthy court battles, no drawn-out drama. She got a minimal share of the house's equity, and I retained the property. My lawyer had me gather all the evidence, including the breach of trust and her walkout. That was enough leverage to ensure I kept most of our assets. She moved on, presumably staying with her parents or some friend. Freed from the weight of her illusions, I breathed easier every morning. Friends, curious about the abrupt end, asked. Some tried to scold me for not hearing her out, for acting harshly. But I had no regrets. She was an adult who knew exactly what she was risking. She took that risk for the thrill, for the ex's attention. She lost. That was the bottom line. Fast forward 2 years. My life is calmer now. I repaired old friendships that Samantha's social whirlwind had overshadowed. I started traveling with a buddy from college. Ironic, because she always complained we never travel. But after leaving her, I found the time, freedom, and finances to do so. My health improved. I realized how much stress she had added to my life. Recently, I heard from a mutual acquaintance that Samantha got involved in some questionable type company that promised quick money. She invested heavily only to be scammed. She ended up losing thousands. Another rumor said she tried messaging me on social media, presumably to ask for a loan, but she's blocked on all my platforms. I guess she found out the hard way that you can't keep stepping on people's trust or chasing illusions without consequence. Me, I'm at peace, freed from the lies, from the relentless drama, from the uneasy sense that something was always off. Sure, there are days I reflect on the good times Samantha and I shared, but those memories no longer sting. I see them as chapters in a life that's behind me, lessons learned. I've chosen a future built on honesty, on respecting boundaries, on not letting someone manipulate me into heartbreak again. I used to blame myself, thinking maybe I was too controlling in that final confrontation. But I realized I only set a clear boundary and she chose to cross it. She had the freedom to walk away. And so did I. In the end, I'm proud I stood up for my self-worth. Now I'm living a better life, and I owe none of it to the illusions she tried to sell me.